The teapot has been sighing all evening, wondering whether the familiar troublemakers of the jianghu had forgotten the road here. Yet the cups have barely touched the table before laughter returns, proving that true Daoists always find their way back when the tale grows dangerous enough. Since you've arrived, warm your hands, settle your wandering hearts, and let us see which immortal dares tempt fate today. An old chronicle records that the boldest plans are often hidden beneath the appearance of desperate retreat. Wang Lin withstands the sovereign's relentless assault, overturns every calculation with another shot of the Li Guang Bow, and escapes into a far greater conspiracy involving Fan Shanlu and the mysterious Seven-Colored Daoist. As forgotten secrets of the cave world begin to surface, the truth behind the 3 souls and 7 fragments promises to reshape everything believed until now. Destruction rolled across the star domain in endless waves. Wang Lin coughed out blood as cracks spread through his body beneath the thunderous pressure. Every collision forced him farther back, yet his right index finger remained raised, stubbornly resisting the descending might. At the same time, his left hand formed a seal and swept through the void. The stars trembled beneath that single motion. An enormous palm print materialized in the darkness, carrying the same unyielding battle intent that had once shaken countless enemies. It was the war spirit print. Following Wang Lin's command, the war spirit print surged forward and struck the sovereign's palm print head-on. A deafening explosion tore through the heavens, but the result was merciless. The supposedly invincible war spirit print shattered the instant it collided with the sovereign's power. Wang Lin was hurled backward, blood pouring from his mouth. This was merely his first direct clash with the sovereign, yet his injuries were already severe. The difference between them was not a matter of one technique or one treasure. It was the crushing gap between Wang Lin's present cultivation and an expert who had stepped from peak arcane void into arcane tribulant. The sovereign's palm print paused for only an instant, then it resumed its descent, vast and indifferent, as though one mortal's resistance could never obstruct the will of the heavens. Wang Lin raised his head, ferocity flashed across his blood-stained face. He pointed upward, and streams of 7-colored light gathered above him, twisting together until they formed a radiant lance. With a piercing howl, it shot toward the descending palm. The lance and palm print collided, monstrous rumbles spread across the star domain, and the resulting storm swept Wang Lin away like a fallen leaf. He retreated more than 10,000 feet before stabilizing himself. Both hands trembled uncontrollably, blood covered his legs. Yet the giant palm print still had not collapsed. Its outline had faded slightly, and its power was no longer as solid as before, but it continued to howl downward, determined to crush Wang Lin beneath it. Madness filled Wang Lin's eyes. The sovereign's strength had never exceeded his expectations. This was precisely the terrifying power an arcane tribulant cultivator should possess. As death closed in, fire erupted within Wang Lin's left eye, thunder awakened inside his right, and the essences within his body began to roar. His 3 ethereal essences and slaughter essence resonated together. All 6 essences condensed into 6 illusory swords, each carrying a different fragment of his Tao. With one wave of his hand, the swords tore through space and flew toward the palm print. Wang Lin clenched his teeth. He did not retreat. Instead, he charged directly toward the sovereign's attack. This was not reckless courage. The 6 essence swords were never meant to destroy the palm print alone. They were meant to weaken and restrain it long enough for Wang Lin himself to reach the decisive distance. The 6 swords stabbed into the palm print. Violent ripples spread outward as the 2 powers ground against one another. Through that chaos, Wang Lin rushed forward, raised his blood-stained hand, and gathered all his killing intent into his fingers.
Tearing the heavens.
It was the spell Wang Lin had learned from Yamo's child. His fingers seized the void itself, and with a merciless motion, he tore outward. Space convulsed before him. A vast rift was ripped open, and the force capable of tearing apart the void latched onto the sovereign's palm print. Wang Lin pulled with everything he had, using the rupture of space to tear the enormous palm apart from within. At that instant, an ancient one shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. Unlike before, it was no longer merely an enormous head. Beneath the ancient face, a vague body had begun to take shape. It was the body of an ancient one. Wang Lin had not yet found the time to refine the 8 drops of blood, yet their latent power had already answered his will. The shadow opened its arms and copied Wang Lin's movement, tearing at the sovereign's palm print alongside him. The entire star domain shook. An indescribable force tore open space, tore through the operation of the heavens, and finally ripped apart the sovereign's palm print. The palm print collapsed. At the same time, the 6 essence swords shattered and returned to Wang Lin's body as broken fragments of light. His hands had become a bloody ruin. Tearing the heavens relied upon the power of his fingers, and forcing the spell beyond his limits had nearly destroyed them. Even the Ancient One shadow behind him could no longer endure the backlash. Its vague body trembled, broke apart, and vanished into the darkness. Wang Lin was thrown backward once more. He coughed out mouthfuls of blood as crimson mist erupted from wounds across his body. His face had become deathly pale, yet strangely, the madness in his eyes disappeared, replaced by an unnerving calm. It was as though everything that had happened, the desperate resistance, the madness, even the near collapse of his body, had been nothing more than a performance.
So this is the power of a peak arcane void cultivator who has entered arcane tribulant. Without the Li Guang Bow, I am no match.
Wang Lin staggered backward while sharp pain swept through every part of his body. The rebound had not merely injured his flesh, even his origin soul had been damaged. Yet his calm acknowledgement of defeat concealed the true danger. Wang Lin had never needed to defeat the sovereign in this exchange. He had only needed to convince his enemies that every hidden card had finally been exhausted. All of this had occurred within moments. Although the sovereign's palm print had been destroyed, the sovereign suddenly laughed aloud. At last, he believed he had confirmed the one thing he feared most. Wang Lin no longer possessed the strength to draw the Li Guang Bow for a third shot. With his final concerns seemingly erased, the sovereign stepped toward Wang Lin. A cruel smile spread across his face. He had endured humiliation, death, and 3 years of waiting for this exact moment.
Wang Lin, I want to see where you will run this time. I've already sealed the star domain. You cannot escape.
Before he could close the distance, howls echoed from far away. Ripples spread across the void, and the 7th concubine emerged with a gloomy expression. From another direction came Dao Master Miao Yin and Devil Master Nine Heaven, both advancing toward Wang Lin. 3 of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, together with the 7th celestial imperial concubine, had gathered in one place. Any one of them possessed enough authority and cultivation to shake both the inner and outer realms. All 4 had come for the life of a single man. Wang Lin's gaze turned cold when he saw them. He had been waiting for this. Only when all 4 appeared could the first step of his true plan be completed. His goal was to destroy the Outer Realm's ancient star system and plunge the cave world into chaos, breaking the balance between its great powers. But how could Wang Lin fail to understand the consequence? Once the ancient star system fell, he would be trapped deep within enemy territory, hunted by every surviving expert. This was why his trap required more than strength. He needed the sovereign's certainty, the greed of the gathered masters, and the belief that Wang Lin had nowhere left to flee. Their confidence was the final lock on the cage, and they had willingly stepped inside it. A sharp light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. Just as the sovereign was about to reach him, Wang Lin abruptly stopped retreating. His left hand stretched forward, and the Li Guang Bow appeared within his grasp. The instant the bow appeared, the sovereign's expression changed beyond recognition. His steps froze. Then, driven by instinctive terror, he retreated more than 1,000 feet. Shock and disbelief filled his eyes.
Impossible. You only had enough power for 2 shots. I cannot be wrong. Impossible. You merely took out the bow to frighten us. You cannot draw it.
The sovereign could not accept what stood before him. His calculations had already failed against Wang Lin again and again. Another failure would not merely ruin his plan, it could shatter his confidence and shake the very foundation of his Dao heart. The 7th concubine also stopped. Dao Master Miao Yin and Devil Master Nine Heaven halted beside her, their expressions changing sharply. None dared advance while that bow remained in Wang Lin's hands. The sovereign's face turned pale, madness surged into his eyes as he roared across the star domain.
You are pretending to be mysterious.
His roar ended abruptly. Wang Lin's right hand had already closed around the bowstring. Without hesitation, he pulled it back. A clear hum rang out from the Li Guang Bow. It was a beautiful sound, yet to the sovereign it was more terrifying than the cry of death. The memory of his destruction 3 years earlier surged from the depths of his mind and swallowed every trace of composure.
Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Even if you can draw the bow, you do not possess enough celestial energy to summon the arrow.
He continued retreating, his face deathly pale. Then a ghostly radiance flickered across the drawn bow, and the arrow capable of suppressing all living beings slowly appeared. Wang Lin held the bow steady and locked onto the sovereign and the 3 experts who had come to kill him. He raised his left arm, turning the arrowhead directly toward the sovereign. The sovereign's face lost its final trace of colour. The arrow threatened his life, but the deeper wound was within his mind. Every plan he had made against Wang Lin had collapsed. Even when he believed victory was certain, the truth had once again proven him wrong. For an expert like the sovereign, repeated miscalculation was more dangerous than physical injury. His cultivation remained mighty, but his faith in his own judgment was cracking. Wang Lin's true weapon at this moment was not merely the Li Guang Bow, it was the fear planted 3 years ago and awakened by a single hum of the bowstring.
This old man refuses to believe it. All of this is false. Although you summoned the arrow, you do not have the celestial energy to release it. I do not believe you. I am willing to bet everything on this.
Madness overwhelmed the sovereign. Instead of retreating, he charged toward Wang Lin, his face twisted as his hands formed seals, summoning the enormous palm print once more. Behind the palm print, a colossal illusory well emerged. It expanded without limit until the surrounding star domain seemed to have fallen into its depths. Within the water surrounding that well, a brilliant red sun rose. The power of the law of origin spread through the heavens, joining the palm print and the well in a final assault. Still advancing, the sovereign struck his own forehead. A fist-sized bone bead burst out from within. The bead was grey, surrounded by a pale white glow, and the moment it appeared, the sovereign's power increased several-fold. With the giant palm, the illusory well, the blazing sun, and the bone bead reinforcing him, the sovereign charged straight toward Wang Lin. He had placed his cultivation, his life, and his Dao heart upon a single desperate wager.
Then I will make you believe. I will make you remember.
Wang Lin closed his cold eyes, concealing the golden light within his gaze from everyone present. His right hand pulled the bowstring back a little farther, then his fingers opened. The arrow was released. It became a ray of heaven-shattering light, crossing the star domain faster than thought. The sovereign's palm print collapsed the instant the arrow pierced it. Ripples spread across the enormous well, but wherever the arrow passed, the illusion shattered. The brilliant red sun could not delay it for even a breath. The arrow tore through every defense with overwhelming destructive force and flew toward the despairing sovereign.
This cannot be.
The arrow was too fast. It passed through the sovereign in an instant. His body trembled, then violently collapsed. Fragments of flesh and bone were hurled tens of thousands of kilometers away through the star domain. The arrow's remaining power swept across Master Miao Yin and Devil Master Nine Heaven. Both coughed out blood as their bodies collapsed. Their origin souls attempted to flee, but Wang Lin waved his sleeve and captured them before they could escape. Only the seventh concubine survived with her body intact. She coughed out a large amount of blood and suffered grave injuries, but as a celestial imperial concubine, she possessed a life-saving treasure. That treasure preserved her life beneath the arrow's passing might. One arrow had broken the sovereign's strongest assault, destroyed the bodies of two ancient star system masters, allowed Wang Lin to seize their origin souls, and nearly killed a celestial imperial concubine. The gathered experts had come believing they were surrounding wounded prey. In truth, they had assembled themselves before an executioner. After the arrow vanished into the distance, the sovereign's scattered flesh and blood rapidly gathered together. His body reformed, and he resurrected once more. Yet the man who returned was no longer filled with arrogance. His face was pale, and when he looked at Wang Lin, his eyes contained a fear he had never revealed before. From this moment onward, he no longer dared claim that he could calculate how many arrows Wang Lin was capable of firing. Without hesitation, the sovereign turned and fled madly into the distance. He did not look back. Just as he had 3 years earlier, he abandoned everything and ran for his life. The repetition was merciless. 3 years of preparation had brought the sovereign back to the same ending. Another death, another resurrection, and another desperate retreat before Wang Lin's bow. Yet Wang Lin's first step was not complete, because an even greater presence was already approaching. At that very moment, monstrous seven-colored light erupted across the star domain. It surged from the distance like a celestial tide, illuminating every corner of the heavens. Within that radiance, it seemed as though someone was arriving. Seven-colored radiance suddenly tore across the void. The sovereign, who had already begun to retreat, stopped as though an invisible hand had seized his body. He stared into that dazzling light, bitterness and complexity twisting across his face. Nearby, the seventh concubine, alive only because a life-saving treasure had preserved her final breath, also fixed her gaze upon the light. Her expression shifted, caught between fear, recognition, and disbelief.
He really came.
Wang Lin's pupils contracted. Without the slightest hesitation, he stepped backward, reached into the void with his right hand, and drew out a jade token. His fingers closed, the jade shattered into powder, and a fist-sized black hole opened where it had been, devouring the surrounding light with a terrifying suction force. Ghostly radiance spilled from the black hole and wrapped around Wang Lin, pulling him toward its depths. Far away within the source of the seven-colored light, an illusory figure walked slowly through the void. He was a middle-aged man in flowing robes, refined and scholarly, carrying none of the savagery expected from one whose arrival could freeze the hearts of sovereigns. Yet when he saw the black hole born from Wang Lin's shattered jade, a mysterious gleam flashed through his otherwise tranquil eyes.
You wish to leave through that method? Impossible.
The seven-colored Daoist raised one hand and casually pointed toward Wang Lin. That single gesture drew the surrounding seven-colored radiance into his fingertip. In the next instant, it erupted into a raging storm and shot across the void. The storm crossed the distance almost before thought could follow. In the blink of an eye, it was less than 7 feet from Wang Lin. A deathly chill burst from the depths of Wang Lin's mind and spread through every pore. His instincts screamed that this was no ordinary attack, but a true life-and-death calamity. The danger did not lie merely in the storm's power. Its speed had sealed away the final moment Wang Lin needed to enter the black hole. Against an expert of the seven-colored Daoist level, even an escape route prepared in advance could be destroyed in a single breath. But Wang Lin did not panic. His gaze remained cold and steady, as though this fatal interruption had already been included in his calculations. Just as the seven-colored storm was about to strike, a jade-white hand emerged from within the black hole. A brilliant green jade ring gleamed upon its middle finger. The hand moved forward and met the storm head-on. There was no earth-shattering explosion. The seven-colored storm silently collapsed, dissolving into 7 streams of poisonous-looking mist. Each stream transformed into the shape of a venomous serpent and burrowed savagely into the jade-white hand. A muffled cry of pain came from beyond the black hole. The hand trembled but did not withdraw. Instead, its fingers formed a seal. The hand split into 7 identical hands, arranged in a circle, each overlapping with the next, as 7-colored light gathered between them. With one gentle pat, the 7 hands released 7 different colors. Those colors fused into a single 7-colored palm print that swept past Wang Lin and flew toward the 7-colored Daoist. This was not a contest meant to defeat the 7-colored Daoist. It was a perfectly measured exchange, 1 strike to block pursuit, 1 instant purchased with injury, and 1 opening large enough for Wang Lin to escape. At the same moment, the black hole swallowed Wang Lin completely. His figure vanished from the ancient star system. From the 7-colored Daoist's arrival to Wang Lin's disappearance, everything had happened within a single breathless instant. The sovereign stared at the 7 illusory hands. Light erupted from his eyes, as recognition struck him like heavenly thunder.
So it's her.
The 7th concubine was even more shaken. Her face lost all color, and she instinctively stepped backward.
Elder sister, she isn't dead.
Only the 7-colored Daoist remained calm. As the 7-colored palm print reached him, he swept his hand through the air. A 7-colored ripple spread outward and collided with the incoming print. A thunderous rumble shook the void. A moment later, both the ripple and the palm print disappeared without leaving a trace. The 7-colored Daoist closed his eyes. No one could tell whether he was searching his fragmented memories, calculating Wang Lin's destination, or listening to an echo from a forgotten age. After a long silence, he opened his eyes and looked toward the place where Wang Lin had vanished. For the first time, reminiscence appeared within his gaze.
7-colored jade print, I believe that was its name. Unfortunately, I possess the spell, but not the memory. Even so, this is not enough to escape from me. The Li Guang Bow has completed its mission. It is time to retrieve it.
He raised his head and took 1 step forward. His figure disappeared without the slightest trace. His words exposed a terrifying flaw hidden beneath his overwhelming power. The 7-colored Daoist retained techniques belonging to his former self, yet parts of his memory were missing. That fracture could become a weakness, but only for someone capable of surviving long enough to exploit it. The sovereign and the 7th concubine remained behind, still shaken by the appearance of that hand and the identity of its owner. She was the celestial sovereign's first concubine, and the younger sister of the celestial sovereign's Dao partner. Far away in the cloud sea, a gigantic spatial crack hung where the demon sect had once stood. Few knew where the crack led. They knew only that fierce beasts frequently emerged from its depths, carrying the savage aura of an unknown realm. Deep within that spatial fissure lay a dark and bizarre world. Through its endless gloom raced a colossal beast more than 10,000 feet long. It resembled a mighty lion, but a single enormous horn rose from its head. Before that horn sat a woman of extraordinary beauty. Her face was pale, and her hands continuously formed seals as she manipulated the space before her. A fist-sized hole floated before her, swallowing the darkness around it. It trembled violently, then expanded until it was 10 feet wide. Wang Lin stepped out from within. The moment his feet touched the beast's head, The black hole collapsed into countless specks of fading light.
Many thanks.
Wang Lin clasped his hands toward the woman. The woman opened her eyes, revealing unmistakable exhaustion. She studied Wang Lin for a long time, then slowly shook her head and sighed.
When we parted, your cultivation was still low. I never imagined you would reach such a level today. I thought you had forgotten our agreement, but when your message arrived through the jade, I knew you still remembered.
You once helped me leave this place. Naturally, I would not forget. Certain matters delayed me, so I arrived late.
Wang Lin smiled faintly, looked down at the giant lion racing through the darkness, and calmly sat upon its head. His escape had not been a desperate gamble conceived at the final moment. Before entering the ancient star system to destroy its ancient celestial realm, Wang Lin had already prepared a path of retreat. He knew the journey could never be simple. Once he fired the Li Guang Bow twice, the sovereign would certainly intervene. The sovereign believed Wang Lin possessed strength for only 2 shots. That assumption was wrong, but it did not change the greater danger. The outer realm was the Seven-Colored Daoist's domain. Once that man personally appeared, escaping through ordinary means would become nearly impossible. Wang Lin's true advantage had never been raw cultivation alone. He survived stronger enemies. He calculated their reactions before making his move. The destruction of the ancient celestial realm, the expected intervention of the sovereign, and even the Seven-Colored Daoist's pursuit had all been woven into one escape strategy. 1 year earlier, while cultivating upon the wheel formation, Wang Lin had taken out the jade and contacted this woman for the first time in many years. Through that exchange, the two had reached an agreement. Wang Lin had sought her help because his accumulated knowledge and the clues he had gathered gave him 60% confidence regarding her true identity. So he believed she was the missing first concubine. During their first communication, she had confirmed his suspicion.
I was once the first concubine of the Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign. I already told you this when we communicated through the jade. My other identity is the younger sister of Fan Shanlu, the Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign's Dao partner. My name is Fan Shanlu. Since you already know this place is only a cave world, there is no longer any reason to conceal the truth from you. When 2 of the 9 sons fought, the Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign attempted to seize a treasure. He used despicable means, turning my elder sister into bait. While the 2 sides were occupied, he seized the opportunity and took the treasure for himself. Afterward, he returned and sealed the 7 Dao sect. Once we arrived here, I could no longer trust anyone from the immortal astral continent. The Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign injured me, and even now my cultivation has not recovered. I had no one with whom I could cooperate until you appeared. There is no conflict of interest between us. We can work together.
Fan Shanlu's proposal was founded on necessity, not trust. She needed an ally untouched by the rivalries of the immortal astral continent, while Wang Lin needed knowledge, passage, and support beyond the cave world. Their interests aligned precisely because neither possessed what the other could provide.
You wish to take the native cultivators of this world to the immortal astral continent. I will help you with that as well. The immortal astral continent is mysterious and vast beyond imagination. Wars are constant, and peace between its many sects is rare. To establish a foothold there, you must possess a sect of your own. Every worthwhile territory has already been claimed. To speak honestly, with your present cultivation, you cannot seize a sect from those who rule them. As for this cave world, everything within it is only an illusion. It would not be entirely inaccurate to say that all lives here are false.
The words hung in the darkness with a coldness sharper than any blade. To Fan Shanlu, the cave world was a constructed realm whose people lacked true standing before the laws of the immortal astral continent. To Wang Lin, however, those so-called false lives contained his parents, his loved ones, his enemies, his promises, and every scar that had shaped his Tao.
Throughout the ages, I have rarely heard of anyone escaping from the many cave worlds controlled by sects of the immortal astral continent. I must warn you of this in advance.
Wang Lin remained silent, listening without interruption as his thoughts turned behind an expression as still as an ancient lake.
However, it is not completely impossible. When you enter the immortal astral continent, you must pay a tremendous price and endure punishment from the immortal astral law. I know little about the exact process, but only someone who reaches the arcane turbulent realm within a cave world has a chance of surviving it. I can help you with this matter as well.
She looked directly at Wang Lin, waiting to see whether the scale of the obstacle would finally shake him.
I'm listening.
His expression remained calm, without even the slightest ripple. Seeing this, Fan Shanlu could not conceal a trace of admiration. That calmness was not indifference. Wang Lin had already crossed too many impossible thresholds to retreat, merely because another stood before him. Whether the price was heavenly punishment or the hostility of an entire continent, he first needed to understand the path, then decide how to break it. Fan Shanlu pondered briefly. Then she revealed a secret capable of overturning everything Wang Lin knew about the past.
My elder sister is not dead.
Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing.
She is not inside this cave world. She is on the immortal astral continent. Obtaining a sect there is extremely difficult. But if you kill the seven-colored celestial sovereign, the seven Dao sect will belong to you.
The proposal transformed Wang Lin's enemy into the foundation of his future. Killing the seven-colored celestial sovereign would no longer mean settling only an old danger. It could grant Wang Lin the territory and identity required to protect those who followed him into the immortal astral continent.
My sister and I want none of the Seven Dao sect. In truth, neither of us belong to it. We were core disciples of the Great Soul sect. Back then, we were blind. We chose to follow the seven-colored celestial sovereign.
Fan Shanlu clenched her teeth. Resentment, buried across countless years, finally surfaced upon her face.
Even after you obtain the Seven Dao sect, should you wish to continue cultivating, my sister and I can introduce you to the Great Soul sect. As for the punishment you will face when entering the immortal astral continent, I will ask my sister to seek our master's aid. If master personally welcomes you into the immortal astral continent, the punishment should be greatly reduced.
Fan Shanlu had placed an entire road before Wang Lin. Kill the seven-colored celestial sovereign, inherit the Seven Dao sect, receive support from the Great Soul sect, and reduce the punishment of crossing worlds. Yet every step of that road depended upon surviving enemies whose true strength still remained unfathomable. Wang Lin silently considered her words. After a moment, he asked the question that mattered more to him than territory, inheritance, or even his own survival.
Besides me, what will happen to the other cultivators of this cave world?
That single question revealed the distance between Wang Lin and those who viewed the cave world as an illusion. He was not searching for freedom for himself alone. If the gate to the immortal astral continent demanded that he abandon everyone behind him, then even salvation would become another form of betrayal. Fan Shanlu was about to answer when her expression abruptly changed. She turned and looked behind them. At the same instant, Wang Lin also turned. His expression darkened as a new danger approached through the endless void. Beneath Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu, the lion beast suddenly began to tremble. Terror flooded its eyes, its massive body stiffened, and no matter how its master urged it, the creature refused to advance another step. Behind them, seven-colored radiance erupted like a river of stars forced through a wound in the void. Space itself seemed to have been torn open, allowing that dazzling and deadly light to descend into the cave world. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. He did not waste even half a breath questioning what had arrived. With one step, his figure became a streak of light and shot into the distance. Fan Shanlu followed closely behind, her robes fluttering like the wings of a beautiful butterfly, fleeing a heavenly calamity. Yet even while escaping, she turned and swept her jade-like hand toward the frozen lion beast. The lion roared. Its fear vanished beneath an irresistible command, and it charged madly toward the approaching seven-colored light.
Blood sacrifice.
Blood-colored radiance engulfed the lion. In the next instant, its enormous body exploded into a churning cloud of blood mist, scattering through the surrounding darkness like a crimson beacon. Sharp roars answered from every direction. One fierce aura after another awakened, and countless beasts began rushing toward the scent of blood. Fan Shanlu had not sacrificed the lion merely to delay pursuit. She had turned its death into bait, summoning the surrounding beasts to form a living barrier between them and the seven-colored Daoist. It was ruthless, but against an enemy of this level, mercy was no longer a virtue. It was a path to death. Wang Lin pushed his speed almost to its limit. His body became a ray of light that seemed capable of piercing space itself, and from time to time he fused with the world to cross even greater distances.
Here.
Fan Shanlu suddenly accelerated past him. Her cultivation was extraordinarily high, and although her injuries had never truly healed, she had spent many years suppressing their effects. She did not continue straight ahead. Instead, she changed direction without warning and raced toward another region of the void. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he followed without hesitation. At that moment, Wang Lin chose to trust her judgment. Fan Shanlu knew this region, and in a pursuit where one wrong turn meant death, local knowledge was worth more than raw speed. Then, from the darkness behind them, a cold snort echoed through the void. There was no thunderous explosion. No brilliant divine spell illuminated the heavens. Yet an invisible pressure swept outward with that single sound, carrying a shockwave powerful enough to distort the surrounding space. Hundreds of fierce beasts had gathered around the blood mist. The instant the cold snort reached them, they screamed in agony and were hurled backward by an overwhelming force. A heartbeat later, every one of those beasts exploded. Blood and torn flesh filled the void. Several droplets swept past Wang Lin's face, and his expression became darker still. The blood sacrifice had gathered hundreds of beasts, yet the seven-colored Daoist destroyed them with nothing more than a snort. This was no longer a contest of techniques. It was a crushing difference in cultivation, where numbers had lost all meaning. The seven-colored radiance pierced through the drifting blood mist. From within it, the seven-colored Daoist calmly stepped forward, his hands clasped behind his back, as though the massacre had required no effort at all.
Wang Lin, give me the Li Guang Bow and arrow.
His words were slow and almost indifferent. Yet, when they entered Wang Lin's ears, they struck his mind like a celestial bell. Wang Lin's body shook violently, and blood burst from his mouth. Fan Shanlu's face turned pale. She seized Wang Lin's arm and pulled him forward with anxious desperation, refusing to let his momentary weakness slow their escape.
I remember you. You are my first concubine. Why are you running from this lord after seeing me?
The seven-colored Daoist's gaze swept across Fan Shanlu. Then he raised his right sleeve, and 9 blazing red firebird phantoms appeared before him. They resembled neither ordinary spirit beasts nor true vermilion birds. The heat radiating from them surpassed even the flames of a vermilion bird, and within every phantom lingered the faint soul aura of an entire planet. These were not firebirds at all. They were 9 rare burning planets from the cave world, captured and refined by the Seven-Colored Daoist until their souls became weapons. 9 planets, 9 blazing suns. Refining living planets into divine weapons revealed the true terror of the Seven-Colored Daoist. His strength did not merely destroy worlds, it enslaved their souls and turned their destruction into cultivation resources. With a casual wave, the 9 firebirds transformed into 9 streams of burning light and tore through the void toward Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu.
You block it.
At the brink of death, Wang Lin could no longer afford to conceal his strength. He roared and swept his hand forward, sending a force beneath Fan Shanlu that launched her toward the approaching flames. Fan Shanlu did not hesitate. Her hands formed a seal, blood surged from her lips, and her mournful cry shook the surrounding darkness.
Great Soul Dao, draw the soul. With my soul as sacrifice, form a soul blade to cut off the realm.
She reached out with her right hand. The blood she had coughed out became a dense mist, gathered within her palm, and condensed into a blood-red knife. Fan Shanlu raised the knife and slashed downward. The blade shattered into 9 blood-red fragments, each fragment shooting toward one of the 9 burning planets. Her great soul Dao demanded her own soul as the price. This was not a defensive technique meant to win. It was a desperate exchange, sacrificing her foundation to buy Wang Lin a single opportunity. Wang Lin seized that opportunity. His left hand reached into the void, and the Li Guang Bow appeared with ancient majesty. His right hand closed around the bowstring. He roared and pulled. Sweat appeared across his forehead, golden light blazed in his eyes, his muscles trembled beneath the unbearable strain, and the legendary bow slowly bent beneath his strength. The sovereign's calculation had not been entirely wrong. Under normal circumstances, Wang Lin truly possessed only enough power to draw the Li Guang Bow twice. But the sovereign had overlooked one thing. Wang Lin still possessed another drop of celestial blood. The drop Xu Liguo and Liu Jinbiao had swindled from the madman before it eventually fell into Wang Lin's hands. That drop did not contain overwhelming power, yet at this moment it was enough to overturn the sovereign's flawless calculation. A scheme built upon perfect knowledge can collapse because of one forgotten variable. The celestial blood was insignificant beside the Li Guang Bow, but in Wang Lin's hands even the smallest advantage could become a blade aimed at fate itself. The bowstring released a deep ancient hum. A radiant arrow materialized upon the bow, and the instant it fully appeared, Wang Lin let go. The string slammed forward. The arrow flew. For that instant its sound replaced every other sound in the cave world. It flashed past Fan Shanlu, whipping her hair into the air and severing several strands before colliding head-on with the 9 blazing suns. Heaven-shaking rumbles erupted. A violent shockwave swept across the void, striking Fan Shanlu and forcing another mouthful of blood from her lips. Wang Lin grabbed her without looking back. Whether the arrow had wounded the Seven-Colored Daoist no longer mattered. Their only purpose was to survive.
My cave is 4 million kilometers away. The formations there can resist him for some time.
Wang Lin gave no answer. He tightened his grip around her hand, fused with the world, and both figures vanished. When they reappeared, they had crossed 2 million kilometers. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale, but he continued forward without stopping. The Li Guang Bow had consumed enormous power, and the forced spatial movement strained Wang Lin even further. Yet stopping meant allowing the Seven-Colored Daoist to close the distance. In this pursuit, every breath of rest was a debt that would be collected with blood. While fleeing, Wang Lin sent a divine sense message into Fan Shanlu's mind.
Is he the 7-colored celestial sovereign?
He is and he is not.
Before she could finish, a slow voice drifted from behind them, calm enough to freeze the blood in their veins.
This old man is certainly the seven-colored celestial sovereign. I originally had no desire to kill you. I merely wished to retrieve the bow and arrow. I will give you one final chance. Hand them over to me.
In the distant void, the seven-colored Daoist slowly emerged once more. His robes were undamaged, his expression unchanged, and not a trace of injury could be seen upon him. The Li Guang arrow had seemingly done nothing. Wang Lin did not believe that appearance. Yet he also knew this was not the time to investigate. If the seven-colored Daoist wished to conceal an injury, Wang Lin's current cultivation would never expose it. Whether the arrow had failed or merely forced the enemy to hide his condition remained uncertain. But one fact was undeniable. Even Wang Lin's hidden third shot had not broken the pursuit. Their strongest revealed card had bought distance, not victory.
Forget it. Since you insist on seeking death, this lord will grant your wish.
A trace of pity appeared on his face. He shook his head as though lamenting the foolishness of two insignificant juniors, then raised one finger toward Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. A seven-colored crystal formed at his fingertip and shot across the void. It reached Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu in an instant. Then it dissolved into seven-colored radiance and wrapped around them from every direction. Seen from afar, the vanished crystal had become an enormous transparent prison, sealing both of them within its brilliant walls. The crystal began to shrink. Cracking sounds echoed around them. Wang Lin felt intense pain tear through his body as crushing pressure descended from all sides, threatening to grind flesh, bone, and origin soul into nothingness. Fan Shanlu's face lost all colour. At the final moment, her right hand formed a seal, and the mysterious seven-coloured imprint appeared before her once more. She spat out blood, staining the imprint crimson.
Sister, help me.
Her mournful cry crossed a distance beyond the limits of the cave world. The stars trembled, and an exotic aura descended from a place unimaginably far away. On the immortal astral continent lay a frozen land buried beneath endless white snow. Its cold could extinguish ordinary life, and even powerful cultivators found survival there difficult. At the summit of a mountain of ice, a woman sat in silent meditation. Her appearance was exactly the same as Fan Shanlu's. At that instant, the woman opened her eyes. Without hesitation, she lifted one finger and pressed it between her eyebrows. Seven-coloured light burst from her brow. At the same moment, within the cave world, the identical radiance erupted between Fan Shanlu's eyebrows. An external power crossed the void and entered her body, causing her cultivation to rumble violently. Fan Shanlu's plea revealed that her survival was tied to a far greater secret. The identical woman on the immortal astral continent was not merely an ally. Their matching appearances and shared seven-coloured power suggested a connection capable of crossing worlds. Borrowing that distant power, the seven-coloured imprint expanded explosively. 1,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 100,000 feet. The colossal imprint forced apart the shrinking crystal prison. Cracks spread across the seven-coloured walls before the entire crystal shattered with a heaven-shaking collapse. Without losing momentum, the enormous seven-coloured imprint shot through the fragments and thundered toward the seven-coloured Daoist.
I have used all my power. Take me away.
The light in Fan Shanlu's eyes dimmed. Wang Lin immediately seized her, fused with the world once more, and disappeared before the seven-coloured Daoist could launch another attack. When they reappeared, they had crossed more than 2 million kilometres. Before them floated a gigantic ship, vast enough to rival a mortal city. Its entire hull was purple, majestic and ancient, while layer upon layer of defensive protection surrounded it with suffocating pressure. The ship's sail moved despite the absence of wind. Upon that sail was a ghostly face, distorted and ominous, staring into the void like an imprisoned ancient spirit. Wang Lin carried Fan Shanlu directly into the layers of protection. A faint glow emerged from her body. and every formation recognized her presence, allowing them to pass without obstruction. They had finally reached Fan Shanlu's stronghold, but the ship's formations could only delay the Seven-Colored Daoist, not defeat him. After witnessing 9 refined suns, a sound that slaughtered hundreds of beasts, and a crystal capable of crushing their bodies, no ordinary barrier could promise true safety. The instant his feet touched the deck, Wang Lin turned toward Fan Shanlu. The question had remained buried in his heart for far too long, growing heavier with every encounter and every contradiction.
Who the hell is he?
Fan Shanlu's face had lost every trace of colour. Wang Lin's words reached her ears, yet she gave no answer. With visible difficulty, she forced herself upright, placed both hands upon her knees, and closed her eyes. In the next breath, she sank into cultivation as though her life depended upon every cycle of spiritual energy. 7-coloured radiance began to pulse across her body. The mark between her eyebrows blazed brighter and brighter until a faint vortex took shape there. From within that spinning light poured not only 7-coloured brilliance, but waves of bitter cold that seemed to come from a place untouched by sunlight. The instant that cold spread across the great ship, frost raced over the deck and pale mist rolled outward in sheets. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. Without hesitation, he withdrew several steps, every sense sharpened. Then Fan Shanlu's face flushed crimson. She coughed violently, and a mouthful of blood flew from her lips. Before it could strike the deck, the blood froze into scarlet beads of ice and scattered with a brittle chime. A moment later, the vortex between her eyebrows expanded and spun with terrifying speed. Wang Lin's gaze flashed. Deep within that vortex, another face emerged. It was almost identical to Fan Shanlu's own face, beautiful, alluring, and eerily alive. As that face appeared, Fan Shanlu's features twisted in agony. Blue veins swelled beneath her skin, turning her beauty fierce and almost demonic. Her eyes snapped open. The vortex collapsed at once, sinking back into her forehead, and the mysterious face vanished with it. A miserable scream tore from her throat. Blood spilled again, yet she did not stop. Her hands reformed the seals, and she returned to cultivation with desperate resolve. Wang Lin watched in silence, his expression heavier than before. He had already glimpsed the outline of the truth. This was not a simple injury, nor merely a backlash of cultivation. 2 wills, 2 identities, or perhaps 2 souls were struggling within one body, yet without certainty he refused to draw a careless conclusion. While he pondered, his divine sense unfolded like an invisible tide and swept across the entire vessel. In an instant, the enormous ship appeared within his mind. The ship was vast, but its size was not what shocked him. Countless restrictions lay hidden throughout its frame, each one profound enough to make even Wang Lin feel wary. His divine sense passed over the deck beneath his feet and discovered that the deck itself was not truly wood or metal. It was formed from restrictions. This was no ordinary treasure ship. The entire vessel was a colossal restriction formation given shape. Layers of protection generated themselves from within the ship. They overlapped like countless transparent scales, fine and densely interlocked. To break one layer was difficult. To tear through them all would demand power, time, and terrifying persistence. As Wang Lin's divine sense continued forward, he vaguely touched the core of the formation, the sail marked by a ghostly face. That face seemed alive, its hollow eyes turned toward him and locked upon his soul. The deck remained silent, yet inside Wang Lin's mind, hideous cries and savage roars suddenly erupted. The sound pierced his consciousness like unseen claws. His expression changed, and he was forced back several steps.
Time restriction, life and death restriction. Ancient soul restriction, annihilation restriction. This ship contains all 4 ancient restrictions, and beyond them are many I have never encountered.
A strange light gathered in Wang Lin's eyes. His mastery of restrictions was already extraordinary, but the cave world had left him only broken inheritances and incomplete paths. Forcing deductions from fragments could consume centuries and still end in failure. This ship was different. It was a complete battlefield of restriction principles, a living scripture built into wood, sail, and soul.
If I had enough time to comprehend and deduce every restriction here, my restriction essence could reach small completion.
For Wang Lin, this was more than curiosity. An essence was a road toward higher power, and a complete restriction essence could become another blade in his hand. The Soul Search ship had opened a path that the ruined inheritances of the cave world had denied him. Before he could explore further, brilliant seven-colored light erupted outside the ship and illuminated the surrounding void. Within that radiance, the seven-colored Daoist approached with slow, measured steps.
This ship feels familiar.
He stared at the vessel, memories stirring somewhere beyond his reach. Yet no matter how deeply he searched, he could not recall where he had once seen it.
I did not obtain that memory. There are too many things I can no longer remember.
After a brief silence, he shook his head and raised his right hand. Thunder exploded. The deck convulsed beneath Wang Lin's feet. A muffled impact rolled in from outside, so heavy that the entire ship groaned. Wang Lin turned toward the protective layers and saw the seven-colored Daoist standing calmly within the radiant light, as though heaven and earth rested between his fingers. Another thunderous strike descended, the outermost defensive layer shattered, and the impact hurled the gigantic ship backward several hundred feet. Wang Lin's eyes burned with calculation. The restrictions were terrifying, but only 20% had awakened. Against an existence like the seven-colored Daoist, dormant strength was no strength at all. If the remaining layers failed to activate, the ship would eventually become nothing more than a sealed coffin. This was a true moment of life and death. For reasons Wang Lin still could not fully understand, the seven-colored Daoist might not intend to kill him. But the man had come for the Li Guang Bow and its arrow. Wang Lin would not surrender them. The Li Guang Bow was the one weapon capable of suppressing all arcane void cultivators. More importantly, he would never allow his life to rest in another person's hand, waiting to be erased by a single thought. That refusal defined Wang Lin's path. Treasures mattered, but autonomy mattered more. To hand over the bow was not merely to lose a weapon, it was to admit that his survival depended upon the mercy of a stronger man. For Wang Lin, such mercy was only another name for a chain.
Even at his full strength, this Soul Search ship could hold him back for dozens of hours.
A cold voice came from behind him. Fan Shanlu slowly opened her eyes, but the presence within them had changed.
Less than 30% of the restrictions are active, but he is no longer the man he was then. The ship can stop him for 3 days.
Her gaze passed Wang Lin and settled upon the seven-colored Daoist outside. Coldness filled her eyes, but beneath it lay something more tangled. Hatred sharpened by memory, betrayal, and years that had never healed. Wang Lin turned and studied her for a long moment, then his voice cut through the rumbling ship.
You are not Fan Shanlu.
The woman withdrew her gaze from the battle outside and looked directly at him. After a moment, admiration flickered in her eyes. She nodded.
You truly deserve to be the one my little sister chose as an ally. I am not Fan Shanlu. I am her elder sister, Fan Shanming.
Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He examined her carefully, yet said nothing. The face in the vortex, the sudden change of aura, and the brutal struggle inside Fan Shanlu's body now aligned. But an explanation that fit the evidence was not the same as proof, and Wang Lin had survived too long to confuse the two.
My little sister should have told you who I am. I was the Tao partner of the Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign.
She raised her right hand and formed a seal. 7-colored light streamed from her palm and flew into the barrier surrounding the ship. The instant the light fused with the formation, a powerful aura surged through the vessel. The defensive layers thickened, and the thunder outside faded until only the faintest tremor reached their ears.
Since you are cooperating with me and my sister, I will hide nothing from you. Long ago, 2 of the 9 sons appeared near our 7 Dao sect, the Grand Empyrean Dao Yi and Grand Empyrean Xuanluo of the ancient countries. Their cultivation was heaven-defying. They were fighting over a storage fragment that had somehow flown out of the immemorial god domain. Under normal circumstances, 7-Colored and I had no right to interfere, much less gain anything from their struggle. Yet fortune turned toward us. Even now, I cannot understand how Dao Yi and Xuanluo failed to notice that a piece had gone missing after the storage fragment broke apart. That missing piece fell into 7-Colored's hands. It was then that I saw his true heart. To conceal the fragment's aura, I sacrificed all of my cultivation and used it to suppress the piece completely. I wanted only to return to the 7 Dao sect as quickly as possible. But on the road back, he struck me from behind. I was unprepared. He seized the cultivation I had used to suppress the fragment, then destroyed my soul. He wanted me dead because he feared the secret would spread. He also needed my cultivation to open the fragment. It came from the immemorial god domain. Forcing it open was never going to be easy.
The story carried no tears, only ice. Fan Shanlu's hatred was not born from wounded affection alone. She had surrendered her entire cultivation to protect a shared fortune, only to discover that, in the 7-Colored Celestial Sovereign's eyes, trust, partnership, and even her life were expendable costs. His betrayal transformed a Dao partner into an enemy patient enough to reshape an entire world.
Yet I did not die. I was a core disciple of the Great Soul Sect, and part of my soul had been left with my teacher. Using the Great Reincarnation spell, my teacher allowed me to be reborn quickly. There were still people within the 7 Dao sect who obeyed me, especially my little sister. Through my teacher's spell, I told her everything. That was how the war began. I knew 7-Colored must have opened the fragment and obtained what lay inside. I also knew he had lured Yimo into the sect and sealed the 7 Dao sect. But how could I allow him to succeed? So I revealed the news to Lian Daofei, a man who had always coveted my beauty, and lured him to the 7 Dao sect. With my sister acting from within, most of 7-Colored's concubines defected. The disciples of the 7 Dao sect split apart. That division eventually became the inner and outer realms.
At those words, Fan Shanlu looked directly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression did not change, not a ripple of emotion escaped him. He had already guessed much of this history, and even now he believed only part of what she said. Her account sounded complete, yet several crucial passages had been brushed aside too quickly. This was the true contest between ancient schemers. Not every lie needed to be false. A story could be accurate in every visible detail and still conceal its most dangerous truth in what the speaker chose not to explain. Wang Lin listened not only to her words, but to the gaps between them. After a long silence, he asked the question that reached beyond their immediate danger.
What kind of place is the immemorial god domain?
A legend on the immortal astral continent says that the immemorial god domain will open 9 times. Each time it opens, the person who obtains the final fortune becomes a Grand Empyrean. Until now, it has opened 9 times, and there are indeed 9 suns. Perhaps when it opens for the 10th time, a 10th sun will rise. As for what the immemorial god domain truly is, I do not know.
9 openings, 9 Grand Empyreans, 9 suns. The pattern was too perfect to ignore. And if a 10th opening truly approached, then the struggle around Wang Lin was no longer merely the aftermath of an ancient betrayal. It might be the first tremor of a contest capable of producing another supreme existence. Wang Lin's eyes brightened. Beyond the reinforced barrier, the 7-colored Daoist's blurred figure continued battering the ship's defenses.
You said this 7-colored is different from the 7-colored of the past. I want a clear answer.
Fan Shanlu fell silent for a moment. When she finally answered, each word was heavy.
He is incomplete.
The ship trembled again under another distant impact.
I do not know how he persuaded Li Guang to help him kill Ye Mo, but after I told Lian Daofei how to break into the cave, a fierce battle erupted. That battle took place shortly after Ye Mo's death. 7-Colored was already wounded, so he entered closed-door cultivation. While recovering, he studied something he had obtained from the fragment. Only much later did I learn what the fragment contained. There was a heavenly Tao inside it.
That revelation changed the scale of everything. A heavenly Tao was not a mere treasure to be wielded. It was a law capable of remaking cultivation, identity, and fate itself. If the 7-colored Daoist had studied such a thing while wounded and later became incomplete, then the missing part of him might not have been lost by accident. It may have been divided, transformed, or consumed by the very fortune he betrayed Fan Shanlu to obtain. The woman's voice drifted through the ancient ship, calm on the surface, yet every word carried the weight of an age buried beneath blood and reincarnation.
I did not witness that battle myself. Everything I know comes from my little sister's memories. Lian Daofei was terrifyingly powerful, alone. He fought the 4 generals and a great number of 7 Dao sect disciples. With overwhelming strength, he severely injured every one of them. It was then that my little sister and several concubines rebelled, joining Lian Daofei in attacking the 7 Dao sect. At the height of the chaos, Lian Daofei broke past everyone and rushed toward the place where 7-Colored was in closed-door cultivation. With his sanctuary threatened, 7-Colored had no choice but to emerge and fight.
That battle shook the foundation of the cave world. 7-Colored had already been wounded, and before Lian Daofei's relentless power he could not gain the upper hand. Driven into desperation, 7-Colored summoned the heavenly Tao imprisoned within the cave world and unleashed its power of devouring against Lian Daofei. This was no ordinary clash between cultivators. 7-Colored had turned the law governing the entire cave world into a weapon. Against such power, even an immortal celestial body could be suppressed, though not necessarily destroyed. In the end, Lian Daofei suffered grave injuries and was swallowed by the heavenly Tao. From that moment onward, his whereabouts became unknown.
However, Lian Daofei possessed an immortal celestial body. He cannot truly die. He should still exist somewhere within this cave world. The heavenly Tao was also fatally wounded. Countless drops of its blood scattered throughout the world before gradually dissipating. Yet life continues to be born inside this cave world. That alone proves the heavenly Tao did not truly perish.
Then came the secret capable of overturning everything Wang Lin understood about the inner and outer realms.
7-Colored's body collapsed, and his soul divided into 3 main souls. The first inherited all his spells and Tao spells. That soul became the being standing outside this ship, the 7-Colored Daoist. The second soul inherited his comprehension and essences. After the great battle, it escaped and concealed itself somewhere within the inner realm. The final soul inherited all of 7-Colored's memories, including the method to summon the heavenly Tao and the location where he concealed the secret obtained from that fragment.
The division was precise and merciless. Power belonged to one soul, comprehension to another, and identity to the third. None of the three could become the true seven-colored celestial sovereign alone.
The third soul possessed no essences and no spells. Even now, no one knows where it is. It might be a cultivator. It might be immortal. It might even have reincarnated as some fierce beast. After countless cycles of reincarnation, perhaps even it has forgotten what it once was, while its memories remain sealed in eternal slumber. The soul that inherited the spells became the Seven-Colored Daoist outside. He is presently the strongest of the three. He forced several concubines to serve him, and even took Lian Daofei's palm print servant boy as his subordinate. After settling in the outer realm, he spent all these years searching for the third soul. As the years passed, he developed a will of his own. Once he finds and devours the third soul, then consumes the second soul that inherited the essences, he will become the new seven-colored. Likewise, the second soul in the inner realm is also searching for the third. Whichever of them obtains the third soul first will seize control of the final fusion. Without the memories contained within the third soul, the first and second souls cannot devour each other or complete the fusion. That is why the Seven-Colored Daoist and the second soul remain locked in opposition.
The third soul was not merely another fragment of strength. It was the key that determined ownership. Whoever possessed the memories would possess the foundation needed to declare himself the original.
The same restriction applies to the other fragments scattered when Seven-Colored fell. They cannot devour one another either. Aside from the three main souls, Seven-Colored also split into 7 fragments. Across countless reincarnations, those fragments assume different identities, but their souls still belong to Seven-Colored. The Seven-Colored Daoist and the second soul ignored them. Even if the 7 fragments were found, they could not be devoured, so they were allowed to cultivate freely. But once one main soul finds the third, devours it, and then consumes the other main soul, the remaining 7 fragments will return of their own accord. Only then will the complete Seven-Colored celestial sovereign be reborn. This is the complete secret of the cave world.
A monstrous wave erupted within Wang Lin's heart. When the woman had spoken of the immortal astral continent, he had maintained his composure. But after hearing the truth of the 3 souls and 7 fragments, even Wang Lin could no longer remain unmoved. His breathing deepened, he retreated several steps, and his expression changed again and again as countless clues collided within his mind. At last he understood what the mysterious third existence truly was. He understood why the Seven-Colored Daoist differed from the statue he had obtained. He also understood what the silver-clothed woman inside his storage space had meant when she said she had not opened the door. That door was most likely the entrance to the cave itself. No outsider had opened it. Rather, the woman before him had taught the madman the method to open the door. Some details might still differ from the actual events, for Wang Lin had not witnessed that ancient battle. Yet the scattered pieces now formed a single terrifying outline. Even if the finer points were wrong, the heart of the truth was almost certainly before him.
3 souls and 7 fragments. So that is the truth. 3 souls and 7 fragments. The sovereign once said, Old Ghost John should have died when they encountered each other in the cloud sea. His shock did not appear false. Even the sovereign did not know the full truth. And in the 7-colored realm of the brilliant void, when I went to rescue Qing Shui, the 7-colored Daoist appeared. He seemed to hold Old Ghost John in unusual regard. He said Old Ghost John was different? Could Old Ghost John be the second soul? Only the second soul would possess the qualification to confront the Seven-Colored Daoist. Or perhaps another soul exists inside Old Ghost John, and that soul is the second soul. It must be so. The war between the inner and outer realms continued because of Old Ghost John and the Seven-Colored Daoist. Beneath all that endless slaughter, both sides were searching for the third soul. Then who is the third soul?
Wang Lin's mind trembled. The revelation tore through the fog that had shrouded the cave world and exposed a hidden struggle stretching across countless generations. The war between realms might have appeared to be a battle for territory, survival, and supremacy. In truth, it may have been only the surface of a far older contest, the struggle of two incomplete souls to recover their missing identity.
And there are still the 7 fragments. Back in the 7-colored realm of the Brilliant Void, I noticed that the 7-colored Daoist looked at Qing Shui as though he were looking at another version of himself. I found it strange, but I could not discover the reason. Now the answer is obvious. Senior brother Qing Shui is one of the 7-colored celestial sovereign's 7 fragments. No wonder his life was filled with misery. No wonder he could obtain the slaughter essence. No wonder he became so powerful the moment he entered the 3rd step.
Qing Shui's suffering, talent, and slaughter essence were no longer isolated coincidences. They might all have been echoes of the ancient sovereign whose soul had shattered before the history of the cave world was written.
Among the 7 fragments, Qing Shui is the only one I know. But who are the remaining 6? Could Wang Lin also be one of them?
Wang Lin fell silent. A cold light gradually surfaced within his eyes. For Wang Lin, the question was not philosophical. If he truly carried a fragment of 7-colored soul, then his identity, his destiny, and even the hatred driving him forward might be entangled with the enemy he intended to kill. The woman watched his changing expression before revealing the price and reward of cooperation.
My goal is to kill 7-colored. Only his death can extinguish the hatred I bear toward him. Our objectives are the same, so cooperation will benefit us both. I can ask my teacher to receive you on the immortal astral continent and lessen the punishment you would face. I have no desire for the 7 Dao sect. Once 7-colored dies, everything he possesses can belong to you. As for the other inhabitants of the cave world, they cannot leave directly. They would never survive the penalty brought by escaping this place, and even my teacher cannot protect them from it. But there is another path. Although they cannot enter the immortal astral continent in their present bodies, they can reincarnate there. Through reincarnation, their souls can follow you to the immortal astral continent. Once their memories awaken, you will be able to find them again. This is the best method I can offer.
Wang Lin remained silent for a long time. He studied the woman without allowing the turmoil in his heart to weaken his judgment.
Even if we cooperate, the 7-colored Daoist and Old Ghost John possess overwhelming power. We are not their match. How do you intend to kill them?
The woman laughed. Her beauty seemed to bloom like a flower in the darkness, captivating enough to disturb the heart of an ordinary cultivator.
I have 2 methods for killing 7-colored. Because countless seals surround the cave, and because of the destruction left behind by that ancient war, I cannot descend here in person. I can only borrow my little sister's body and gather a small portion of my origin soul within this place. However, if you can lure either the 7-colored Daoist or the second soul to the core of the cave, where the cave's door is located, I will be able to gather far more of my origin soul. At that point, I can kill them with my own strength. That is the first method.
Her first plan depended on terrain rather than direct pursuit, By drawing an overwhelmingly powerful enemy to the cave's core, she could bypass the seals restricting her true strength and transform the battlefield into an execution ground.
That method is not flawless, so I prepared a second. The key is the third soul. I will teach you a spell. Once you find the third soul, you can use that spell to devour it and erase its existence completely. From that moment onward, you will become the third soul. I will then help you devour the Seven-Colored Daoist and the second soul. Afterward, you will absorb the remaining 7 fragments. From that day forward, you will be 7-colored.
Her second method was far more dangerous. It did not merely ask Wang Lin to defeat Seven-Colored, it asked him to replace Seven-Colored, taking the enemy's identity, power, fragments, and destiny into himself.
My little sister and I can remain beside you. She can become your concubine, while I become your Dao partner. Everything will return to its original course. Should you have other women, they can also become your concubines. Even on the immortal astral continent, should any female cultivator catch your eye, I can capture her for you so that we may cultivate together. Seven-Colored lived in that manner. I captured many female cultivators for him. Aside from my little sister, I was the one who found most of his 8 concubines. With my teacher's assistance, once we pair cultivate, our souls will fuse and both our cultivation levels will rise. Together with the treasure you obtain from the fragment originating in the immemorial gold domain, we will be able to roam freely across the immortal astral continent. Would that not be far better than remaining trapped inside this insignificant cave world?
Her smile remained gentle as those seductive promises drifted toward Wang Lin like an invisible net. The offer contained power, freedom, companionship, and a path to the immortal astral continent, yet every reward depended on Wang Lin surrendering part of his identity and trusting a woman whose hatred had endured for countless years. Wang Lin calmed his heart and looked directly at her for reasons he could not ignore. Her words awakened a memory from more than 1,000 years ago. In the demon's spirit land, he had encountered the sovereign's daughter, the holy ancestor of the tattoo clan. Her fate had been wretched. Her eyes had been torn away and her entire body had been suppressed inside Qinglin's cave. The resentment surrounding her had towered into the heavens. That woman's hatred toward Qinglin closely resembled the hatred this mysterious woman held toward Seven-Colored. The holy ancestor's words had once sounded so mournful and convincing that Wang Lin had nearly believed everything she said. But later, Wang Lin heard Qinglin's account with his own ears, and the contradiction left him unable to determine whose version was true. That old experience had taught Wang Lin a lesson carved deeper than any spell. Resentment can speak truth, but it can also reshape truth into a weapon. A tragic story was not the same as trustworthy intent.
We can discuss that matter another time. At present, the important question is how we escape the pursuit of the Seven-Colored Daoist waiting outside.
The instant Wang Lin heard her proposal, he had already sneered inwardly. But he was far too cunning to reject her outright. Whatever her hidden motives might be, their initial objective remained aligned. Both wished to see the Seven-Colored Daoist dead. Wang Lin's response was a calculated retreat. He neither accepted the temptation nor shattered the alliance. By shifting the discussion toward immediate survival, he preserved every advantage while revealing nothing of his true judgment.
That is simple. Once we exchange blood oaths promising cooperation, I will control this ship and send you out safely.
A blood oath?
Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. In that instant, the deeper purpose behind everything became clear. She had guided him into the ship, unveiled secrets capable of shaking the cave world, and offered him unimaginable rewards, all to bring him to this demand. The blood oath was the true blade hidden beneath her beautiful promises. Once sworn, cooperation might become restraint, and restraint might become control. Wang Lin had survived too many schemes to place his fate inside another person's hands so easily.
There is no need to rush this matter. Where is the altar you spoke of before?